Okay, so forget everything you think you know about traditional warfare. We're about to dive into a conflict where the front lines are completely digital, the soldiers are actually corporations, and the prize? Well, it's nothing less than control over the entire global economy. This is Iran's tech war, and there are literally trillions of dollars on the line.
So, it all kicks off with this central puzzle. Why is the White House suddenly so on edge? Why is the president scheduling a major address to the nation, like tonight? Something has clearly shifted, and it's shifted so dramatically that pretty much the whole world is holding its breath.
I mean, on one hand, you have the official story. Just yesterday, President Trump was making it sound like this whole thing was no big deal, that the conflict was pretty much wrapped up. But behind the scenes, you can feel the tension just ratcheting up, creating this really weird and frankly worrying disconnect that has analysts very, very concerned.
All right, so to really get what's happening, we need to look at the core of the disagreement between the US and Iran. Because honestly, it's a clash of two completely different realities.
This slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? I mean, look at the gap. You've got President Trump basically saying, mission accomplished, regime change is done, our troops are coming home. But Iran, they are not talking about surrender at all. They're laying out these non-negotiable demands, a total stop to all attacks, and they want reparations for sanctions. These two sides aren't even in the same ballpark. They're in different universes.
And this is where the whole conflict just takes a wild, unexpected turn. Iran has just decided to flip the script entirely, unveiling a new strategy that basically rewrites the rules of modern warfare. They're moving the battlefield away from the military and into a whole new arena.
They're pivoting to what's called economic warfare. And this isn't about tanks or fighter jets anymore. Nope. The new strategy is to go right for the jugular of American global power. It's economic and tech dominance by targeting the huge corporations that are the symbols of that power.
And get this, they are not being subtle about it. This quote from Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps says it all. This isn't some secret memo or a back-channel whisper. It's a direct, public warning. It's a clear declaration of intent that makes it absolutely impossible for Washington, or for that matter, Wall Street, to ignore.
So you might be asking yourself, just how big of a threat are we really talking about here? Well, this is a direct threat to America's corporate crown jewels, what you could call a $15 trillion Achilles heel.
Just let that number sink in. $15 trillion. That's the combined value of the companies that are now directly in the crosshairs. To put that in perspective for you, that is bigger than the entire economy of every single country on Earth except for the US and China. It's massive.
And this isn't some abstract threat against the economy. No way. This is a hit list of names you know, names that are probably on your phone right now. We're talking Apple, Google, Microsoft, Meta, Tesla. All these companies have huge physical operations, data centers, regional headquarters, all across the Gulf states, which makes them very real, very vulnerable targets.
And the threat couldn't be more modern. I mean, it doesn't get more 21st century than this. Even Elon Musk's Starlink, the satellite internet service that connects places like Bahrain and Kuwait, has been specifically named as a legitimate target. This is a straight-up attack on the digital backbone of the modern world.
Now, as you can probably imagine, a threat of this size doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It sends immediate shockwaves around the entire globe, and the economic fallout is already starting to fracture alliances that have been solid for decades, as countries are forced to choose between their friends and their own financial stability.
Here's a perfect example of that playing out in real time. The US is out there saying the Strait of Hormuz is a global problem, not just America's. But at the exact same time, a key ally, the Australian Prime Minister, is on TV telling his own people about a historic spike in fuel prices, saying that families are doing it tough. You can see right there how national economic pain is starting to trump strategic alignment. And it's not just Australia. These cracks are appearing everywhere. We're now hearing that some NATO allies are actually denying the US the use of their land and airspace for Middle East operations. That's a huge deal. It's so serious that you've got Senator Marco Rubio suggesting the US will have to re-examine its entire relationship with NATO. The very foundations of these old alliances are starting to shake.
So while these traditional Western alliances are getting shaky, a new one seems to be getting stronger. China and Russia, they're jumping right in, openly backing Iran with weapons, with money, and even with offers of military support. The global chessboard is literally being redrawn as we speak.
Okay, so all of this, the threats, the shifting alliances, the economic panic, it all brings us right to this very moment. It's all coming to a head with two critical events that are set to happen in just the next few hours. A global countdown has officially begun.
So here's how it's going to go down. At 8 p.m. in Tehran, Iran's deadline is up. That's the moment they've threatened to unleash this unconventional attack on America's biggest tech companies. And then, just a few hours later, at 9 p.m. in Washington, D.C., the President of the United States is scheduled to address the nation. The entire world is watching these two clocks.
And that leaves us with this huge and honestly pretty unsettling question. As countries start to weaponize their economies and target digital infrastructure, are we actually watching the beginning of a whole new kind of global conflict? Is technology the real battleground for the next world war? The answer to that might just be decided tonight.